Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories, shall we? The first story is called She Should Have Been Nicer. Several years ago, I worked the front desk at a privately owned hotel, non-chain, that had been a Days Inn 5 years prior. The only way to book a reservation was to talk to the front desk staff. No online reservations, no third-party reservations. About 50% of our rooms were sold to walk-ins. One holiday weekend we are booked full. Our elderly elevator is having some trouble with all the traffic and spooking guests, so I close it and call for a repairman. But it's 10 o'clock at night, so I'm not expecting anybody until the next morning. All of our guests are checked in. Our accessibility rooms are on the same floor as the lobby, so I just help out anyone with their luggage if they have more and put up a sign saying so. In walks a woman I don't recognize from check-in. She plops a piece of paper in front of me and then goes and gets lots of luggage. The paper shows her with a reservation at Days Inn at this address for tonight for a tenth the price we were selling before being fully booked. She comes back to the desk, likely thinking that I have been checking her in all this time. I regret to inform you that we do not accept third-party reservations. We are unfortunately already booked out for the night. I have a reservation. It's right there. I paid good money for it. Ma'am, I believe you. Unfortunately, you are not in our system because we don't take third-party reservations. They sold it to you fraudulently. You are just trying to steal my money. I have a confirmation number right there. I handed it to you. Yes, ma'am, you handed me a reservation to a Days Inn, but we are this hotel, and I gestured to a sign. All of the signage inside and outside the building is correct. Also, this is for a 4th floor room. We only have 3 floors. I stayed at this Days Inn last year on the 4th floor. This argument continues for a while, with me keeping my cool, informing her that we are booked, all of our rooms are full, me insisting that we don't have a 4th floor, not Days Inn, don't take third-party reservations, etc. Eventually, she screams at me that I am going to take her to her room on the 4th floor, which she paid for, right now. I don't respond, just stare at her with a blank face until she slaps the desk and screams, "Now!" I don't mind taking a room key, but I do grab my huge key ring and we both load ourselves up with her excessive luggage and climb the stairs. Once we get to the 3rd floor, I gesture to the 3rd floor sign and tell her it's the 3rd floor. I then use my maintenance key to unlock the door to the maintenance stairs, which are not lit, and she trudges up behind me, not saying anything. I open the floor to the tarred roof and walk outside. And here is the 4th floor. I hope it is as nice as the last time you stayed here. I dropped her luggage and went down the stairs back to the front desk. Honestly, had she been nicer to me, I would have tried to help her get a room at a different hotel and submit documentation to try and get her a refund or chargeback from the third party. But since she screamed at me, I left her and her luggage on the roof. Plus, she insisted she had stayed on the 4th floor, so that's what she got. The next story is called My Time is My Time. After being on the receiving end of more accidents than I like, I switched careers to work as a driver's ed teacher. I'm fairly easygoing, but there's one aspect of any job I have that is a bottom line. My time is my time. If I'm off the clock for any reason, then I don't work. So if your class is scheduled for 4:45 and you show up at 5:30 when I start my break, I'm not going to do anything. Most parents understand that after the hell of kids that don't understand not to stop on train tracks, I need my breaks to de-stress. If they show up early and I say I'm on break, they nod and wait, most of the time. Very seldom we get people that feel they have a right to demand I start a class early. This is one of those. First, it should be noted that I don't have a uniform or badge, so aside from the rooftopper on the training car, nothing says I work for the driving school. I had just settled down in my own car and was about to bite into my sub when a woman knocks on my window. I open my door and step out, food still in hand. The following occurs. "Are you Isa? We wanted to start his class early." "I'm sorry, I'm on lunch right now. His lesson starts in 30 minutes. "Well, we need to start earlier. He needs to be home early for dinner, so he can't be out that late." "I'm sorry, but when you scheduled the class, the schedule was fixed so that I could have the necessary break and lunch times." "Well, then reschedule this class and have your stupid lunch later." "Miss, it's my lunch break. I'm not being paid for this time, and I need to be on the clock and schedule to teach under state law." "Not really, but sometimes saying it's a legal requirement slows the entitlement train." "I don't care. Teach him now." Wow, that's a bright light bulb over my head. Let's play with this. Okay, I can reschedule today's class. Just let me call the office and get that arranged for you. I grab my phone and dial the admin I deal with most of the time. Kat is great. She will let me know when parents or students cancel, and she clears my schedule when I need to take the car in for maintenance. And she doesn't like her teachers being bossed around by customers. After all, they need us more than we need them. Just to make it easier, I put the phone on speaker. Hey Kat, Joe's mom Karen is here and wants to reschedule his lesson today. When does she want to move it to? I want him to start right now. So yeah, I was thinking just cancel the 4:30 to 6:30 class and give me another at 4:10. Why is this taking so long? You sure you want to do this, ma'am? Yes, you idiot. Please stop shouting, my phone is on speaker, she can hear you perfectly fine. Okay, I've cancelled the original class and rescheduled it to start in 2 minutes. We'll note this in your records. Please remember there's a $50 fee for cancelling within 24 hours. Have a good day. And she hung up, while I tried not to grin as Karen realized she had just been charged double the cost of her lesson to have it start 20 minutes earlier. If she does not pay, then we can withhold the certificate her son needs to take his driver's test. For his part, the kid is actually pretty good. He is one of those students where we are mainly just going through the motions of driver's ed to appease the almighty BMV. And he's glad he gets to spend a couple of hours every few days driving without having to listen to his mother nagging him. The third story is called Only During Work Hours. Some of our field agents in my company were taken off the road on full pay during 2020, but expected to be available for retraining in anticipation of a return to work. At the beginning of last month, I started scheduling training for agents to return to the field. Pre-lockdown, these agents worked an 11 to 7 shift and I usually worked business hours. At times, I would be around from 7 am or doing something at 9 in the evening though, and generally I would respond to an email if I felt it was warranted at that time. During 2020 and retraining, agents were asked to be available during business hours for these trainings and not their usual shift. Everyone seemed happy enough to do this upon request. One agent, who can be a serial complainer at the best of times, started whining that he was getting emails outside of his work times, i.e. 9 or 10 am instead of 11 am. Now I usually send invites to training or handouts whenever I get a free second, which could be 8 am or 8 pm, depending on if I'm tied up in training sessions or meetings. No agent is obligated to check or respond to anything outside of the work hours, however. It's more so that it's in their inbox when they log on. A Teams invite went out at about 9 am for a training exercise 2 days later, as I wanted to keep scheduling ahead of myself and give the guys as much notice as I could. The serial complainer went to HR and said he has a right to disconnect. HR explained that he was under no obligation to read or reply to any of these emails, as his shift was 11 am to 7 pm. Remember, the shift is actually 11 am, but all agents were happy to work to a different schedule during training and finish at 5 pm instead. HR requested that this agent not receive emails outside of their contracted hours due to their complaint and right to disconnect. I said, sure, no problem. Q. Malicious compliance. I sent an email out at 9 pm 2 days later with some new information about some of the products that were due to be added the next day. This had only come via the client about an hour before. Agents were all now back to the 11 am shift and I wanted to have the information as soon as possible, as I had my annual leave booked for the next day. I had left the serial complainer out as per his request and had scheduled his email to send at 11 am. The serial complainer then sent an email to me after receiving the email, whining that he hadn't been given adequate notice of the new information. My out of office was on as I was on annual leave. The serial complainer then called my work mobile and left a voicemail asking me to run through the product set with him. I didn't have my work phone on as, leave. I was then sent another email from him after this. He stated that he was not informed of the products at the same time as his colleagues and was being put at a disadvantage and that he is being discriminated against. He complained that I was unavailable to explain what he needed to know, which was unacceptable. I saw this email the next day after I returned from leave and I replied at 11 am stating that I am not obliged to respond to emails outside my work hours under the right to disconnect and CC'd HR. I then emailed HR separately and brought up that the serial complainer was suffering from a case of the old double standards. Everyone but serial complainer receives emails outside of work hours now, and every time serial complainer sends one outside of someone else's work hours, they don't respond until their shift start. We all have. I may send this email at a time that is of convenience to me. Please note you are not obliged to respond outside of work hours. The serial complainer is not happy, but rules are rules. The last story is called You Need to Meet Your Party. So I worked a while back at a theme park. This theme park has a ride where you go up in the sky and saw over sides of the world. Anywho, I was the lead that day, and it had been a rough day for the ride. We maybe had an hour of actual operation throughout the 8 hours of the park open so far. At the moment, we had been closed for the last 6 hours. The line was closed, doors shut, and no wait time was posted. The exit for the ride is a long corridor where the two theaters meet, and they exit up a ramp. Unfortunately, that ramp is wide open to anyone that feels like wandering back down. This happened quite often during operation, usually a group saying they had to leave their spot in line or they were trying to meet up with family. That day, as I'm walking out of the broken theater, I happened to run into a family of 4 who was just kinda hanging out in the exit. They clearly shouldn't be down there right now, so I approached them. "Hey guys, can I help you with anything?" "Yeah, we are trying to get back in line with Grandma. She's holding our spot for us after we went to the bathroom." "That's highly unlikely, since we are closed." No, she's down here waiting for us." "Sorry guys, I'm gonna ask you to head back out the exit." The guest immediately changes his mood. "Listen here, you little idiot. We have been waiting in line for hours for this ride. You will bring us to the line, now." "Oh yeah? Sure, let's go." I bring them down through the back entrance into the grouping area, opening the door to a load area with the TVs off, sound off, lights dim. Clearly not how it's supposed to look to guests. The man walks through, practically shoulder checking me as he goes through. "Go ahead and find your grandma." At this point the guest is clearly realizing his stupidity. "Yeah, we have been closed for 6 hours. Bye." Guest storms out, bright red in the face. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. It really helps in the algorithm. Have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.